teammates and coaches more than we do our family members when we're in season. I barely see my wife and my children. My children go to sleep at 8 o'clock. On Wednesday, I get home at 6:30. I bathe them at 7 o'clock, and they're down, and we're putting them in a bed at 7:30, and they're done. They're asleep at 8. And that happens throughout the year. There's a couple days, obviously, where we have more time, like on a Tuesday and Monday. If we have a victory Monday halfway through the season, coach may give us it off. But for the most part, I am leaning on my teammates throughout the whole year in everything in life. And I just think that's a tragedy what we're doing when we tell our kids, hey, you have an addiction problem. Now go handle it on your own. Here's a place you can call or go to, but you can't come to a facility. No, I need Ryan Fitzpatrick when I'm down. I need Coach Bowles when I'm down. And I think that we just need to be more aware and think about some of these issues. Another issue that I'd like to see change before I retire is every team, it should be mandated that every team have a clinician on site.
You mean a mental health clinician?
Mental fitness, yes. Yeah. And that mental fitness coach should be on the first floor right next to the strength and conditioning coach. No longer should it be on the third or fourth floor of the building in a storage room where people are hiding. We need to break the stigma. It's okay. So what I usually do is Dr. Sweet's our guy. I say, Dr. Sweet, I'll meet you every Wednesday. We'll sit down at lunchtime at noon. This is my running appointment. Noon in the cafeteria. Is he the New York
Jets?
He is.
Mental fitness? What's his title?
I call him mental fitness coach.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's preventative and is intervening early. No longer where I let it go, months without being treated. The longer it goes, the worse it gets. So for me, every Wednesday, noon, lunchtime, I'm sitting there in the cafeteria so all my teammates and coaches can see and they can feel comfortable saying, man, I need to do that. They don't have to sit in the cafeteria. They may go in the office, but I want to break that stigma of people being afraid to walk into that office.
This is the MMQB Podcast.
So football's back, and SeatGeek is the smartest, easiest way to find tickets for the games you want to see up close and in person this season. There's nothing like being in the stadium for the biggest plays of the year. With SeatGeek, it's never been easier to get the seats you want for a great value. SeatGeek has the best deals on every ticket in the house, wherever you want to sit, whether that's the 50-yard line, the club seats, or upper deck. Now, pay attention to this next part because it's really important. My listeners get a $20 rebate off their first SeatGeek purchase. That's $20 right back in your pocket. And to get it, all you have to do is this. Download the free SeatGeek app and go to the Settings tab and click Add a promo code. Then enter promo code MMQB. SeatGeek will then send you $20 after you've made your first ticket purchase. It doesn't get any easier. Download the free SeatGeek app and enter promo code MMQB today. Now let's get back to our guest. With Brandon Marshall here in the MMQB podcast with Peter King. So I want to talk a little bit about football.
Let's do it.
So one of the things, you and I got to know each other a little bit in your third year in the NFL. Wow. You were going to play on a Thursday night game. You were with the Denver Broncos, and you are playing in Cleveland on a Thursday night. And you have this plan because this is 2008. The country is all excited about Barack Obama, the first African-American president in history. And so you called me that day and you said, what would you think of this plan? And so you got to tell me that story and how this came to be that you thought of this little demonstration that you thought that you wanted to do.
Man, I think this story is perfect timing. So what I thought was interesting was the country's reaction to Barack Obama. I didn't understand why there was still this black and white issue. There was, black people are only voting because it's a black president. Then there was still the, blacks rallying behind Barack because he was black. Then there were some whites that were saying, I'm not voting for that guy. And I couldn't understand that. So what I wanted to do was make a stand basically saying that it's not about black or white. It's about it's about our country. It's about the USA. This is our president. And so I came up with this idea of taking a glove that was half black and half white and putting my fist up, holding my fist up, saying it's not about black people. It's not about white people. It's about our country being one. And so I called to get your thoughts on that because I was young and I didn't know how people would take that. And
I told you, of course, you got to do it. You got to do it.
So the whole game, man, I have this glove in my pants and I'm waiting to score. I'm waiting for that opportunity.
Now let's talk about this game. Okay, This game, you guys are favored to win the game, but you're behind.
We're behind
to the Browns at the 2-minute warning, and you're driving. Remember, Jay Cutler is still the quarterback of the Broncos at that time. You haven't scored yet. You're going down. It's like maybe a minute to go. You're at the 11-yard line, and
the ball's in the air.
Ball's in the air,
and I see it coming, and it's like, this is the moment. I'm not thinking about winning the game. I'm not thinking about catching this ball. I mean, it was just, the game was in such slow motion at this point. I was like, this is the moment where I'm going to be posterized for the guy who brought the country together. The ball drops in, I catch it, and I'm like, okay, here it is. And I go reach into my pants, and I know everybody was like, what is he doing? Is he grabbing his stuff? And as I'm pulling the glove out, Brandon Stokely comes and grabs me. He's like, no. And I'm like, what? He's like, you're going to get a penalty. And it's going to
You'll get a demonstration penalty. It'll be 15 yards on the kickoff.
And we could lose the game. And I'm like, I don't care about that. Let me go. He's like, no, you can't do it. So that was my moment. But it's interesting now, we're in a civil rights movement. Let's just state the facts.
Yep.
And again, this is awesome times, I think. A lot of people look at it like, oh my gosh, our country's unhealthy, this is terrible. But I think about Martin Luther King and everything he went through and stood up for. And I would think that he would be proud of where we're at,
Would he be proud of the athletes today, some of them demonstrating on the sidelines?
And let me get this clear so people don't get this misunderstood. Well, the reason why I say he'll be proud is because back then we couldn't dine in the same restaurants, drink from the same fountains. But now we have a black president. We have NFL coaches that are black. I think we've come a long way. I think about all the work that I'm doing in the mental health community and so much change I want to see in policy, in our government, and in corporation, in our families, in our school system. And I get so tired. I get weary times. And I'm like, man, how did Martin Luther King devote his life to the civil rights movement and to justice and all people? So the thing that always jumps out is like, man, this guy woke up every day after getting knocked down day after day after day. And he never got a chance to see this. Barack Obama. He never got a chance to see how free we really are now. So that's what I mean by...
You wish that
I mean,
Martin Luther King had a chance to see
the fruits of his labors.
Yeah.
But I will say this. This is where I want people to get misunderstood. Like, these problems still exist, though. We still exist. Like, if it didn't exist, we wouldn't have to have the Rooney Rule. We wouldn't have to have that. And it's not just black people. It's women. We have a lot of issues going on. It's immigration law. There's so many things going on. But what I'm saying is we made some huge strides. Huge strides. Some that Martin Luther King would be proud of. But we still have a long way to go. Like what Kaepernick is standing up for, what all these players are standing up for, what I believe in, what I'm standing up for, they still exist. I had a great opportunity to live on both ends of the spectrum. I lived in a neighborhood where we had one white family. Then I moved to Florida where we were the only black family. So I saw both ends of it. And I can understand how people don't understand each other. So I say all that because, I think that, with the conversation that's being had now, it's going to push this thing forward. And sometimes it takes a little controversy. It takes a little pain to get to, a very healthy place. And I think we will get to a healthy place. This is good conversations, good times. But people cannot be blind or ignorant to the fact that these issues still exist.
So what do you think the end game in that regard is in the NFL? Do you think that eventually you're going to have entire teams not just locking arms, but doing something more demonstrative, whether it be the Black Power salute, whether it be the fist? Where are we going with this, do you think?
Wow, it is picking up, right?
Yeah.
You're starting to see more guys.
You're even seeing Megan Rapinoe in soccer do it with the U.S. women's team.
This is what I believe. I believe will really provoke change when our white athletes join in. That's when I think we'll have change. You know, it's interesting to me, and this is tough times. Like I talk to Nick Mangold, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Eric Decker about these things all the time. Like we're all in tough spots. You know, whatever we say is highly scrutinized. You know, but you know, you would think that it's not about, like I said before, it's not about black and white. This is just about justice, and this is human rights. And I just can't understand why it's only black athletes standing up right now. You know, I need our white football players to stand up and lock arms with us and say, no, that is not right.
You mean what's going on in this country?
What's going on in
right?
this country? You know, I find it really interesting that, you know, I think, well, Chris Long is the first one. Chris Long just said it a couple days ago. He was the first one to stand up and say this is not right. 75% of our league is made up of minority black guys. I spend my time with these guys. I respect these guys. And if they say these things are true and going on, then I have to respect that and have to try to listen. He's the first one to do that. But what I find interesting is no one stood up when we were talking about the senseless murders and deaths and police brutality. No one stood up but African-American athletes. But when the American flag got involved, then everyone wanted to have a say. Everyone wanted to jump in and say, well, here's my opinion. Well, we needed your opinion then, and we still need your opinion now if we want change, because it's not about black or white. It's about human rights. You know, I don't see black and white. Some of my best friends are white. You know, and if it was them in situations, and when they are in situations, I'm going to stand up for them and fight to the death with them. So, you know, I think if we really want to see change, we need both black and white athletes and people to stand together and get things done.
It's the MMQB podcast with Peter King.
I don't know about you, but I don't like to shave. Honestly, who does? My face looks like I've been in a prize fight after I finish shaving. Got nicks all over the place. And let's face it, razors are super expensive. That is, I thought they were until I got my first package of razors from Harry's. Harry's blades are high-quality, high-performance German blades, crafted by shaving experts, and they feel amazing. It's the best shave I've had in years. The really great part is Harry's offers a high-quality shave that's better for your face and your wallet. It's about half the price of the big brands, and they ship it free right to your front door. So why pay $30 for an 8-pack of blades when you can get them for half that at harrys.com? They have a starter set that's really an amazing deal. For $15, you get a razor handle, moisturizing shave cream, and 3 blades. It's called the Truman. Now comes the best part of all. Go to harrys.com right now, and Harry's will give you $5 off your order if you type in my coupon code, KING, with your first purchase. See that? Just by typing in KING, your price goes from $15 to $10. It's that easy. That's harrys.com, HARRYS.com, and enter the coupon code KING at checkout for $5 off and start shaving better today. In the remaining time we have with Brandon Marshall here on the MMQB podcast with Peter King, 2 other topics. One, we talked in the spring a little bit about how, okay, so you have so many things you want to do with your life.
Yeah.
And not just in the media, but with mental health. And you want to affect lives of people, both in football and out of football. So this thought always occurs to me. You are perhaps the most physical wide receiver in football. As we sit here right now after week 2 of the NFL season, you have a bandage on your knee. You got what appeared to be, when I saw your knee twisted in a grotesque way in the Thursday night game against Buffalo, that might have been a season-ending injury. Yeah. But anyway, you're going to be okay, relatively speaking. And so I always wonder this about guys who have so many plans after football. How do you look at your mental health 10, 15 years down the road when you're getting hit in the head so much?
Yeah.
And do you ever think, you know, I've made a lot of money off this game. Maybe I ought to just take my winnings, take it back from the table instead